welcome to the 6th episode of 9 to 5 Theatre. Today we are reviewing Brian Friel's Translations. This play was incredible for me to read again after many years, I will say, mainly because of the character Lieutenant George Yoland. Because, speaking as an Irish person, it's very easy for us to blame what I would consider our own faults and lack of appreciation for all things Irish on our past oppressors, the English. Any lacking in culture that we may have, or our forgotten history, or even our inability to speak our own language. A lot of the time, this blame is placed upon the British Empire. Ireland was under English rule and oppression for nearly 800 years, but we have come a long way since we achieved our independence in 1921. Or at the very least, we've come at least halfway and stopped, at least in Dublin. And that's just how I see things, really. The character of Lieutenant George Yoland is a breath of fresh air when it comes to how the English soldier or English oppressor is presented to the Irish. Yoland describes himself as a lost soul with no drive or ambition in life up until he sets foot in this town called Baile Beag in County Donegal. He falls in love with the country, the culture, the language, and with the people. And he's overwhelmed by the beauty and wants nothing more than to be a part of it and to remain there. And especially today, it's very easy for us to label an entire people and throw them into the pile of their worst representatives. We never really see this side of the story where you have an English person or an English soldier wanting to be a part of Ireland and who loves it so much and even wants to learn Gaelic. And the character Moira in the play, we don't really see her either, which is an Irish person who wants to learn English during this time period. And Brian Friel skillfully makes Yoland acknowledge and aware that even though he feels as though he belongs to this land, this culture, and this people, he will never be truly accepted by them, at least not fully. This was something that was apparent to me throughout my readings of the play. I could never not dwindle on those points. It was very strange. The scene that echoed through the entire play that I couldn't stop thinking about was the love scene between Yoland and Moira. Before we talk about this, I have to clarify something that although from the audience and reader's point of view, it seems as though all the characters are speaking the same language, they are not. Most of the Irish characters, although they are speaking English in the play, they are conversing in Gaelic. And there are only 3 Irish characters that can communicate in English, them being Hugh, Manus, and Owen. And this masterfully sets up the most beautiful scene ever written since Romeo and Juliet. Yoland and Moira trying to communicate their feelings for one another through this linguistic boundary. It's remarkable to see, and you can see this same kind of dynamic set up in the movie Love Actually between the characters Jamie and Aurelia. Aurelia? Yeah. Both Yoland and Moira have a tendency to unknowingly repeat what the other has just said in their native tongue. The scene is of 2 young people who cannot communicate verbally with one another, desperately trying to confess their love for each other. One of the most interesting things about this scene is that despite this fact, despite that they cannot understand each other, they're shy and timid and embarrassed by the situation itself, as if they already have some kind of connection. And as the scene progresses, their understanding of one another, it seems to become clearer, as if they do fully understand the other. Now thinking about it, it'd be very easy to set this scene to a sexual rhythm getting faster and louder as the scene progresses, and it would be funny, but I think that's far too easy. You know, I don't think that would do it justice for what it is. It seems to be a very obvious thing to do. And I love this scene as well because it poses a very interesting challenge for the actors who are playing Yolande and Moira, in that how do you convince an audience that you don't understand each other when you really do? All your responses have to be on different beats, rhythms, and even tone, for this lack of understanding to make sense. It's like the scene is a love song, two singers, but they're both singing in different keys. But the song has to make sense. There is a specific point in the scene where you can break away from that. But you know what? I suppose it's just like anything in this profession. If anything, it's just like acting. If you look at it too closely, if you look at anything through a magnifying glass, it becomes vastly more complicated than it actually has to be. And for those smart arses out there, no, you can't just not listen. This scene does show the attempt of communication between two cultural barriers, but I can't help but think if Brian Friel was hinting at something else. From the moment we meet Moira, she speaks of getting out of Ireland, going to America, learning English. And since we meet Yolande, he speaks nothing but love for the country, love for the people, love for the culture, and expresses his desire to learn Gaelic. I think perhaps Yolande represents the love and appreciation of Ireland and Irish identity that Moira is now lacking, or that Irish people are now lacking. She grew up there, spent every day of her life there and nowhere else. She knows nothing beyond the borders of Donegal. Everything about the play, everything about Baile Beag for her it's just everyday existence. And perhaps she doesn't fully realise that Yolande wants to stay there. But I wonder if Friel was sending a message to the Irish psyche when he wrote this scene. Was he commenting on our attitudes toward our country, I wonder? Another scene that jumped out at me was the return of Owen in Act 1. Owen is the younger brother of Manus. Manus is the, I suppose, assistant to the hedge-school his father runs. And because his father is a drunkard, he tends to do most of the lessons himself. But Owen is returning from Dublin after becoming a very successful man over a number of years. And upon his return, we really see how he eclipses Manus. Manus says very little in this segment of the scene. And his actions are not described in the stage directions that much. You're very aware that he's still there, if that makes any sense. Very aware that he's still there and that he's ignored by everybody. I was very sympathetic to him during this segment for every read after the first. I didn't really see it that much in the first read. But it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. Now, that's all I'm going to say about it, because these videos are so fucking hard to trim down. I keep trying to put so much into them, but I've gone over a few of them and I was like, Jesus, I'm rattling on for nothing. So that's going to be that for this episode. We will be back in 2 weeks. I have a list of things that I want to talk about, but I haven't decided what I want to talk about in the coming weeks, or in 2 weeks' time. But I will let you know at some point. Oh, also, this is our new mascot. This was made for me by my niece and nephew, Thomas and Eva, for St. Patrick's Day. I haven't decided what to call him yet. Napoleon Bonaparte, we'll call him. I don't know why. Yeah, that's Napoleon. And he'll be watching over us from here on in. So, Hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying this channel. If you haven't read this play, please do. I wasn't really looking forward to it, to be honest, but it sucked me in. I really forgot how fucking good it was. Anyway, I'll let you go. Stick it on the pile, pull up your socks, read a play. See you in 2 weeks.